Some defense lawyers are calling on the province and the courts to limit police powers when it comes to warrantless searches under Ontario's Cannabis Control Act. For more on this, we're joined now by criminal defense lawyer Daniel Brown. Daniel, great to have you with us. So let's talk about these, thank you, these warrantless or illegal kind of searches under the Cannabis Control Act. Is this just a new loophole for police to do racial profiling?
Well, that's really how it's turning out. I mean, originally, of course, the government created this law because they were concerned that people would be perhaps operating their vehicles with marijuana in the car. They would have access to that marijuana. And so they created a law that really protected against that, protected against people driving with marijuana close by. But how we're seeing this law play out is that the police are really abusing that and using it as a pretext to conduct other types of invasive searches they wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
And when they conduct these invasive searches, Daniel, and let's say they find an illegal firearm, that goes to court. Does that automatically get thrown out as indismissible because it was under an illegal search or just a warrantless search?
Well, the question becomes, why were the police doing that search in the first place? They're saying we did it for a lawful reason. We were doing it to look for marijuana and just happened to come across a gun. The people that are really concerned about this are saying, in fact, people are being pulled over. There is no marijuana in the car to begin with. There's no indications there's marijuana in the car. And yet the police are claiming they smell marijuana as a pretext to conduct these types of searches, especially once they've run the license plate of the driver and have a hint perhaps that they have some prior criminal involvement. And so these people are being targeted, and in fact, a whole swath of marginalized people are being targeted by the police. We've heard recently, police testimony is that police officers are conducting these searches almost every shift, many times a shift, and we hear about the cases where something illegal is discovered, but not about those situations where nothing's discovered, but yet a person's been held up at the side of the road and investigated by the police for no good reason.
Right. I think you're referencing a Toronto Star article in which a York Region constable admitted that she does these cannabis control searches every single day, perhaps several times during a shift. Now, let's talk about the actual law. What is allowed under the Cannabis Control Act if you are in Ontario and you are in possession of some marijuana? Because we know it's been legalized since 2018. You're allowed to smoke it and carry it. So what's the rule when it comes to having it in your vehicle?
Yeah, you're allowed to have less than 30 grams of marijuana as long as it's in its original packaging enclosed or fastened in baggage that can't otherwise be accessible to you or anyone else in the car. And what happens is, as I said, the police officers will claim that they smell marijuana, which makes them think that marijuana may be improperly stored in the car, and it justifies a very intrusive search that would otherwise require a warrant in order to look into someone's vehicle and reasonable and probable grounds to believe a crime is being committed. Simply possessing marijuana isn't a crime in Ontario, and it shouldn't be the type of thing that warrants or permits a police officer to conduct a really intrusive search like the type they're doing right now.
Right, and presumably they're doing more of these kind of marijuana searches as opposed to liquor searches because they claim that, well, they're not seeing many people drink with an open bottle in their vehicle, correct?
Well, that's right. And I mean, there were liquor license rules that prevented people from driving with open liquor, but we just didn't see them being used in the same way we see the marijuana legislation being used. So, I mean, it's clear that this is a pretext to other investigative activities. It's clear that they're doing this without the lawful authority. Cases are being thrown out every day in court. I think this is really just the tip of the iceberg because this law is relatively new. It came in 2018, but we're now seeing many of these cases that perhaps were delayed by COVID coming through the court system now, and judges are really concerned with what's happening here, and the public should be really concerned because it's going to be one day perhaps that you're stopped and pulled over and investigated and searched without any just authority to do so.
Yeah, it's certainly a concerning trend. Okay, criminal defense lawyer Daniel Brown, we really appreciate your time this afternoon. Take care.
Thanks for having me.